Hello, everyone. I'm going to be joined today by my beautiful friend Aura Schwartz, and we are talking about Elul, the month that we're in, preparation for the Jewish New Year, and really the courage to change how we look inside and reflect, and then find that reservoir of strength to make changes where we feel that we need to grow, or we feel dissatisfied, or we feel stifled. Aura is a podcast host and a life coach, among many other things, and she has really found a passion in this arena, discussing change, how women hold that evolution in their lives, how comfortable they are with it, where they find resistance. And so I'm so excited for her to weigh in today and to share her thoughts and her wisdom. Hi, Aura.
Hi.
I feel like Rusty on Instagram Live,
I,
and
it's been so long.
it really has. It feels that way. I don't know if you heard, but I was just telling the audience a little bit about you and your work as really someone who holds space for women to share their stories and to process change in their life and to really explore what gives them fuel to embark on personal evolution and where they feel resistance and where they might feel stifled and afraid in many ways to make the changes that they deeply desire, and how connected this is to the month of Elul, that we're in this time of reflection and preparation for the new year.
You said
So a
that so
lot to talk
beautifully.
about. Thank you. I was saying I still haven't worked out how to actually pin the title of this conversation so people know what we're talking about. And
Hmm.
there are all these symbols here that I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm scared like my phone's going to explode or something if I tap the smiley face. So if anyone has any advice,
Yeah, if you guys can, any, savvy Instagram techies out there can just write it in the comment box how to pin conversation title. We'll set that up.
perfect,
Oh, you have
perfect.
that beautiful L painting behind you.
I do.
Oh,
This has been part of my LL journey, this painting process,
I
which
love it.
we can dive into.
It's
Um, so here we are. We are in the final month of the Jewish cycle, the Jewish year, and we believe that each month carries this incredible, potent energy for us to tap into and really use as a way to look more deeply inward, to use
yes,
to reflect on our life circumstances, and this month is very much about us reflecting on the year past, setting intentions for the year that's to come. And
yeah.
that's really that beautiful nexus, that turning point, that spark that allows us to begin to initiate change within ourselves and our lives.
100%. 100%. And I think one of the reasons I love Elle so much, I actually feel that you kind of, if you're tapped in energetically, you kind of feel it in the air. Like, I think it's something I felt as a child as well. Like, Elle would come and we'd all start, there'd be this excitement. You're getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. The school starts teaching about it. The parents start preparing for it. And so I feel like the idea of change kind of happens to you in the month of Elle a little bit. And then you just have the ability to tap into it. And we could talk more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. There is this anticipation that comes through, and it really doesn't matter how it's your birthday month. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I know
We have
this.
lots of LL babies around us. Um, Hi, Zivar or Zach, whoever just joined. So yes, you feel that anticipation welling up around you, even if you're not consciously aware of this LL content that we're talking about, but
Yeah.
in the preparations that are happening in schools, in homes, in families, and energetically, there's something else that's transpiring, which is what's speaking to you as a child and
Yeah.
carrying you in that way.
100%. And I think as you said, someone who I'm really interested in the stories of change of people, and we could talk more why or how I got into that. But yeah, my podcast is all about that. I have a podcast called Dream Detour. I am hoping to get Micaela's out before Rosh Hashanah. Me and Micaela had an
Right.
incredible conversation in the right time, 100%. But this idea of, it's not only that people change, it's that the ability that anyone can change and change in the way that you want, not just the way that society tells you to change. And that has so much to do with Elul, and there's so much learning on it and the transformation of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's incredibly powerful, and that gift that anyone can change. I think
Yeah.
you stated it perfectly. So many of us might feel stuck where we are circumstantially because we're told to be in a certain place,
Yeah.
and and you seem to really know that gift, that it's each one of our innate birthrights, blessings, to be
Yeah.
able to initiate change and act on it when we feel called to and when we need to. And so, why don't we start a little bit with your story? You
Okay.
said how you became curious about this capacity for people to change, and you've really dedicated your life to it in many regards. I mean, as a makeup artist, there's a capacity to change, externally, which is
Face,
reflecting
right?
internal. You have a podcast which is dedicated to the stories of women going through life transitions and
Mm-hmm.
really diving into the heart and soul of why and the difficulties in that process.
Right.
And your life as a coach is really then the action of it.
Yes.
There is the
If
action
you
of
break
like,
it
well,
up.
how does that happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's something that I think change is something, and someone like me who's, and I would say, an advocate for change in a good way, in a healthy way, to become better of yourself, is something. I'll give you a little bit of what happened with me in my process. But, it's like when you think of a color, right? You're like, oh, for some reason, yellow's popping into my head. And all of a sudden you see yellow, yellow, yeah. It's everywhere, right? When you think of something, all of a sudden you start pulling that into it. And I think for me, I got into this obsession with change. I felt very stuck in my life at a certain point. It took a lot of work to change that. And then once I started changing, you know, I would say it's more of a move through. I felt like I kind of moved through this position of being stuck into, wait a minute, I could stay here, but I don't have to stay here. And if I don't have to stay here, then how do I move through it and to the other side? And then I did, all the work that's involved. I did some hypnotherapy. I got life coaches, and I did the actual work. And once you kind of get to the other side, all of a sudden, like, it's almost like this, you're in the next level, like you're on the other side of yesterday,
Yeah.
and everything's bright and everybody changes. And like, even I was telling Micaela when we were talking about doing this, I was like, I'm fascinated. The week before last was the Parsha of Shoftim, and in it, it talks about, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it talks about self-care, which is part of change, and I'm a huge self-care lady
Advocate.
advocate. Like, if you want to know how to take care of yourself, I will give you all the ways. And I believe everyone can do it. And then, in the Parsha, it talks about how you have to take care of yourself first, which we can dive into. And I'm like, oh, that's in front of me. And then, in Elul, so much of it is this transformation that I never really noticed before until I was in this transformation state. And the reason why I think I went into life coaching, and it's specifically to help people, my niche of life coaching is really helping women see that they have choices and then pick the choices that works best for them. Because I think so many of us are brought up with the way things should be. And it's really hard when you hear that you should, to then be like, wait, but what do I want to do? How many of us have asked ourselves that? So it kind of became an obsession of mine. Like, I can change. How can I change? And how many ways can I change? Oh, you can change too? Oh, let's talk about you changing. And how many ways can you change?
Mm.
you
It's
know, and then
beautiful.
kind of just come from a place of discovery and like, if I change this, what would happen?
Yeah, it's incredibly empowering and incredibly liberating. And
Yes.
and we do get stuck into identities and roles that we play in our life and titles that we carry and names that we have that give us in a way a security blanket, or we
Mm-hmm.
start to identify as those external layers as opposed to turning more deeply within, which is this infinite vast space which is constantly unfolding, a place of curiosity, a place of mystery.
All
And
right.
I think that's what you're talking about tapping into, which is
Yes.
very much in sync with this time of year that we're in, where we're told to turn inwards to the depths of our soul, to the place that's connected with the divine source,
Right.
which is always breathing new life energy into us in every single moment. And so if there is this constant uh, refreshing of life energy pulsing within us, then we have that infinite capacity to change and move and grow.
Yes. And I think that what we're not taught, and it seems like so many people have come to this on self-discovery, and it's a shame because I really do think it should be taught, is that, you know, godliness wants us to go through that self-discovery. You know, there's this quote in Lech Lecha where it says, leave your land, leave your father's house, leave yourself, but it doesn't tell you where to go.
Yes.
And you know, how many times are you sent on a mission and it talks about what you're leaving behind? That's not usual. So
Yeah.
the point is that you're supposed to leave behind all these ideas that you're kind of brought up with. And the reason why God doesn't tell, you know, Abraham where to go is because he wants him to go through this self-discovery, this realization of self, and be like, wait a second, who am I? What am I? Where am I heading? What's my divine soul and what's its mission? And it might not be what society's telling me. And it might not be what my parents told me. Even if I grew up, by the way, in a religious environment. You
Yeah.
know, and I think for some of us, like I grew up religious, and I think for religious kids who grow up in this world of godliness and spirituality, there's this idea that our rabbis and our parents know exactly what they're talking about. And if we don't align with that, then then who are we? What are we? But if we read the, you know, script on itself, then that's not even good enough. Just because our parents or our teachers or our friends are from this religious, you know, what does that really mean? Space, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't still go on that self discovery
Yes.
and connect with your divine.
Absolutely, because what you're describing is the knowing that has to come from within, the relationship that has to come from within in order to make it personal and to understand intuitively where to be led next.
Yes, exactly. And you really know it. Like I think part of being stuck, and a lot of people describe themselves as being stuck when they don't have another word for not moving forward, fear of the unknown. You know, it encompasses a lot of things. Um, and I think that's kind of people actually being in touch with their sense of self. And their sense of self is stopping them being like, something's not right here.
Yes.
It's really your physical and your spiritual talking to you and being like, this isn't what you chose. You need to discover what are your values. You need to
Hmm.
go out and discover that. And then you can step forward into your land, right? Whatever that land is.
Yes.
Once you pick your values that are truly yours and not someone else's.
So I want to just focus on that for a minute, that that feeling of being stuck is in many ways maybe a safety net, that it's your soul's calling saying, don't keep heading in this direction where you thought you should be going.
Yes.
Don't keep going on that trajectory. And it comes out as feeling, I feel stuck. I feel like I don't know where to turn next. I feel like I'm paralyzed. But it's actually your soul stopping you from moving in the wrong direction, saying, recalibrate, breathe,
Yes.
take a moment. And when you're in a space of alignment, the door will open for you to move and take the next right step.
100%. Like, I like to look at it as a positive,
Yes.
right? Like, you could go down the depression path, or you could be in a space of, I need help.
Right.
And if I go out and get that help, then I can go into a space of alignment and not feel this way anymore.
Yes. Yeah, that's a beautiful shift in perspective. That I think also when we feel stuck, we get so aggravated and so
Yeah.
frustrated because we're in a culture that wants us to keep moving forward. And if we
Right.
don't have outward signs of progress, then it becomes very, we feel that we're not achieving in the way and the pace
That
that
everybody
we
else
are
is.
conditioned to.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things I discovered in my process of change and being stuck is exactly what you said, is I really just stopped. I was in this rat race of like doing and going, and then, being on Instagram, on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever. I'm not on TikTok, thank God. A little bit, but I don't scroll. But when you're in that cycle, it's very hard to stop.
Yeah.
And so part of my process was just stopping and doing nothing. And of course, because things find you when you need them, at that time I had seen this quote about, it looks like I'm doing nothing, but I'm really integrating. And I loved it because the only time you really bring things in is if you're still.
Mm.
If you're moving, your thoughts and feelings can't catch up with you because you're too far ahead of them. I see people are chatting, but being asked to be still is so important. Oh, sweet. Yeah, I think people think if I stop, then I'm off. I fall too far behind. But I think it's the opposite. I think if you stop, and like you said, you calibrate, then that's when you really get your thoughts and ideas, and that's when you
Yes.
really discover who you are, and then you can go out with the right energy.
Yes. And I do think that although this is considered a month of action, each month has a sense associated with it, and Elul isn't a month of action. There is a lot of stillness associated with this time of reflection. It's active reflection. It's
Yeah,
maybe active stillness in a way.
the
Um,
active stillness.
yeah, which allows us to do what you're talking about. Aura, what is a life coach? You spoke a little bit about your dance with transition, but tell us about your work as a life coach, and then
Okay.
also your podcast.
Okay, so a life coach is a great question. I actually just started. So I took a year off. I moved my family to Nashville. I had a baby, got my family settled in Nashville, which has been wonderful. And I'm just coming back to life coaching. So I'm actually just putting out all these videos. So anybody who wants to see, you can check out my Instagram page over the next couple of days. And in the videos, I have one that says, "What is a life coach?" Everyone's talking about life coaches, but no one's explaining it. I have one that talks about a niche. What's a niche? Why do you have to have a niche? Do you need to go to someone who's only in your niche? So you guys can check that out. But what's a life coach? So my daughter Nava, who's 7, started calling me a lifeguard. She's like, "You're a lifeguard, right?" And it took me and my husband a minute. I'm like, "What do you mean lifeguard?" And then I realized she meant life coach.
Yeah.
And she asked the same question, "What's a life coach?" And I was like, how do I explain this to a 7-year-old? Because if I can explain this to a 7-year-old, I can explain it to anybody, right? And a life coach is really someone who helps you get to your goals. That's really the crux of it. You have a goal, and that goal doesn't need to be a materialistic goal. Doesn't need to be, eating healthy or losing weight. It could be those, but it could also really be spiritual. It could be connecting with your divine. It could be, what's my purpose? A lot of people who find me, because I really believe your clients find you. And a lot
Yeah.
of people who find me, they're working on their purpose. They know they have a purpose in life. They can't figure out what it is, and they want to know. It could be, how do I change my thought process? I'm feeling stuck. I get a lot of people who feel stuck, right?
Yeah.
It's something that they connect to when they hear about my process. How do I change that? And so what we do is a series of different things, but one of the main things I do is question everything about you. I life coach from a space of you have the answers, I don't. And I just guide you into getting your own answers.
Mm.
I don't believe anyone can tell you how to think, how to feel. You're the one who knows you best. Even if you think you don't know yourself, you do. And I just help you get to that place inside of you of self-discovery so that you can get to your goals and shift through. And
That
that
must be,
is a life coach in a nutshell.
yeah, unbelievable. And beautiful for you to witness these
Yes.
transformations happening around you.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of the life coaching that I learned, it's funny, the first day I took a course with IPEC and I did it with a friend, Sivya. We did the first module together. And the first day we kept looking at each other and I was like, this is all Hasidus. This is
Yeah,
all Tanya. And it
yeah,
is because so much of it is like reframing, like your thoughts create your feelings, create your action. And this is something we learn in a Torah
yeah.
setting always. And yeah,
No, I think that's beautiful that it's something that you saw reflected from your upbringing and from the
yes.
Torah that you learned since childhood. And I'm wondering if that courage that you have to evolve, that courage you have to change, and both career wise, but also within yourself and do that work, do you think that came from your upbringing? Do you think that courage is something that we can learn? I mean, there are
It's,
some people have, take on change very easily. Some people
yeah,
resist it more.
yes. So you had asked me this before, and I get this question a lot, and it's something I'm always trying to think about. I would say I get the comment a lot, like, this seems so easy for you, right? Like,
Mm,
you keep changing, you keep evolving. It seems so easy for you. And I think it's twofold. I think I did come from an upbringing where there was a lot of shifting. My parents were Chabad emissaries. There was a lot of people in and out of our house. I would come home from school some days and there'd be new people living there. You know, Somebody's mother needed a place to stay for a month, whatever. Oh, you're not sleeping in your room tonight because we had to give it to some guests who were in town for 3 days. Okay. So I think just by nature, I had to, shift even from an external level, it goes into your psyche. But I think it's also a lot of the work that I've done. It's the constant reading, and I've always been really curious.
mm,
And I think people assume you need this power or you need this strength to shift and to change. I think you just need to be curious.
mm.
If I do this and that's different than what I'm used to, what will my outcome be? I'm always, I, I can't change anything. Nothing can change. Something I do, work I do with people is I'll show them their day and show them where they have pockets that they can find. They're like, well, I can't.
Yeah,
And then we do this process of like, well, what if you can? Go into your physical feeling of that. What if you can? And I think I always thought like, oh, what if I can change? What if we do move to Nashville and pick up my family and move out of LA that I'm so comfortable? What if I move to a place that there's nobody there? What happens then? Okay, so either it's great and I love it, thank God I do, or it's terrible and then I get to come back in a year.
mm,
There's no space anymore where I'm stuck.
yeah,
Once you move out of being stuck, once you move into change, then there's no more space. There's no more, I can't do this. It's like, well, what if?
yes,
And so, yes, I think I do have this ability to change easily, but I do think, hi, Beanie, I do think anybody can.
yeah,
And I think, and this comes back to what we were talking about in the Parsha, I think it really starts with yourself. And I think people don't realize that. They're like,
yeah,
when I get enough money, I will change. When my kids grow up, this will change. When, something always has to happen, but it's the opposite. You need to change. And then those things happen. All
yeah.
those things happen.
We're waiting for our circumstances to give us permission for a person, a life change, something
Exactly.
for us to give us permission to make those shifts.
And
Um,
here's the secret though. that it's never going to happen.
Right.
I waited many years for life circumstances to change.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And the second I started changing, that's when everything started to move and flow.
Wow. Yeah, it's just when everything's stuck and then one piece just shifts and gets that momentum, it allows everything else to have that mobility as well.
And just because I can, I want
Yeah.
to shift that back into the Parsha.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Because I just want to always shift back into it, because when we learn constantly, that's where you get more and more information. And it's like, who comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, because I started changing, did I start seeing these things? Or because I was learning, did it start changing me? But it all comes back to self. So in the week before last was Parsha Shoftim. And one of the reasons I got so excited about this, because I love,
I was just going to say, I wanted to just preface that.
Yes, please.
When we read the parshiot, right, plural, in a particular month, they each have a message which is related to the energy of the month. Yes. So there is something that's happening at this time of year, and specifically in the week of reading that parsha, that is reflected in that story or those words or those messages. And so you're talking about Parshat Shoftim, which is in the month of Elul. Yes, in the month of Elul. So very potent for what we're all feeling and experiencing.
Exactly. And in the Parsha, it talks about giving the first of your wine and your grain and your sheep to the priests.
Yes.
Before you do anything else, give the first of all these things to the priests, because the priests don't have, they're not raising sheep or, having vineyards and stuff. So you give the first of everything to them, and then you take for yourself. And I got really excited about this, because when I was learning about it, as we've spoken about, I'm very into self-care. And the reason why I'm into self-care is because I really believe that when you take care of yourself, you take care of everything else better. And in the world we're brought up in, we're taught to believe that you need to take care of everything else, and then you have time for yourself. But my friend Beanie, who said hi, who's also a wonderful life coach, she had a great example. And she said, let's say you're headed to a destination and you see you're low on gas, and you're like, I can't stop for gas because I must get to this place on time. But if you don't stop for gas, you run out of gas, and then you don't even get to your destination because your car won't move.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with you. Like, you need to fill up on yourself, because then you have the energy to get to your destination, to take care of your family, to take care of your community. So when it was talking about, giving the first of to the priest, in the Hasidic thought, it's really talking about giving the first to yourself. So the oil, I'm going to just look into it because I never know the Hebrew. Your grain, wine, and oil, right? So that's referring to your mind and your heart, right? Your intellect, your emotions. So you need to feed yourself first in those ways, spiritually, educationally, whatever feeds you. And then it talks about the sheep, which is clothing and surround. And that's your physical too. You can't only do your prayers and learn your weekly portions and do your meditation, but not feed yourself and not exercise, and not go to this place that feels good and take 5 minutes of quiet to yourself. And in the beginning, the interesting thing about change in the beginning, so if this is something you don't do and it's something you want to do, and your fear is, right? Because one of the reasons we don't change is because the fear surrounding it. What's my family going to think? What's people going to think? How am I going to take care of all the things I need to take care of? A lot of things I question when I'm working with you, right?
Yeah.
Are those even truths? Where does it come from? But the fear of it is that if you start to do all of this and you start to change, then you're gonna uproot the apple cart, and all the apples are gonna fall. And that might happen. I'm not here to tell you like, oh, you're gonna start to change and it'll be butterflies and rainbows. There is this tough point of a giving and taking. when you're trying to make that change, when you're trying to take care of yourself first. If you've always taken care of everybody else and you never took care of yourself, and then you tell your family, I'm sorry, I'm not available for 20 minutes because I'm going for a walk by myself, you know, while it's right before or right after bedtime, whatever that timing is, or it's in the morning when you're supposed to be helping them get dressed, but that's the only time you have.
Yeah.
They might give you pushback. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because the benefit to them, to you first, again, and then to them is so great. Like it says right here, like give to the first of the priest, give to the first of yourself, and then you'll be able to give to everybody else because you'll have the energy to do that. And it's the same thing in Elul. Like, you know, we're gearing up for this time of holiness and godliness. And, you know, we all know what the new year stands for, but we need to give to ourselves so that we're ready to receive from God.
Yes. And that is a beautiful reminder to nourish all parts of ourself this month when it is so tempting, and not even tempting. I mean, logistically, there is so much to prepare going into these like 4 weeks of festivals that are about to be upon us, and the responsibilities of providing for our family and the meals, etc. So to have that reminder to nourish, as you said, heart and soul in this time, which might come personally in many different ways, whether it is through painting or through journaling or through taking that walk or through self-reflection, but to remember that cultivating this divine connection, cultivating the connection within, is really a level of self-care that you're referring to.
100%.
Beautiful.
And I want to give an easy way, because I feel like people have these conversations and we all watch it, and everyone who's watching this now, watching it later, will be like, that's all nice and good. But
I know. Well, I was about to ask you, what are the steps? What are the steps that we can do this month?
Exactly. Because I feel like a lot of times we hear this and then it's like, but how?
Yes.
Right? How do we do it? So I'm going to give you guys a couple of practical ways to do this. Number one, make yourself a calendar. It could be in your phone. It could be on paper, nothing fancy. And write down everything you're doing that week. You know, what you have to do.
Yes.
What you want to do. And what some basic things that, you know, just come with life. And then this is a trick I learned from Dr. Edith Eger, who I adore, who I was honored and privileged to interview for my podcast. And what she said to me was that you always need to put joy in your week, right? So something super simple is look at your week. And I'm guessing for those who self-care isn't a big value of yours yet, you probably don't have a lot of spaces in your calendar for yourself. Like you probably have what's going on with your kids, what's going on with your husband or your partner, what's going on with your work, what's going on with your household, right? I always say we all need another wife to manage our affairs. And then within those spaces, drop in on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. Just drop little timelines in. And it could be as simple as sitting down with my coffee out my favorite window.
Yeah.
Right? What's your favorite spot in your house? Set your alarm, 5 minutes. You're going to sit with your coffee and you're going to drink it. No interruptions. If you have a baby, do it while your baby's napping. Just something that brings you grand joy. It could be putting on, your favorite song and having a 2-minute dance party by yourself to just release. Like some people meditate. Maybe you don't know how to meditate. Maybe you're not good at meditating. Having a dance party and releasing that energy is another form of meditation. It could be 3 pages of journaling. Just 3, 2, 1, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? But if you drop in these little things into your week, and this is before, it could be during the time kids are at school, You know, you don't have to start out like me, where I tell my husband that, you know, I need to go for a walk right before bedtime because I need to be calm mother when I get home. But he knows my lifelong self-care, so he lets me go. You know, for most people that might not happen. But if you drop in these 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute sections of your day and your week, you'll bring so much joy in, and that will be the tiniest bit to start that change.
Mm.
And then you grow from there. Baby steps.
Yeah. I think what's so powerful about those moments of joy that you can bring into your day as little anchors, they anchor you to yourself, because what
Yes.
brings you joy is so unique, and it's so deeply rooted. I mean, just to be able to sit in front of a window and feel joy sipping your coffee, or to be able to write or dance or do one of these things that are really innately joyful for you,
Yeah.
really takes you on that path of return. It's like inch by inch down the rope back into your heart
Yeah.
space, which will give you the guidance and open you up to the wisdom and the knowing of where to move next. Or as it is in this time of year, just to ground in that inner connection, which is really, you know, my friend Megan Watterson, she says further up is really farther in. You know, if
Yes.
you want to reach the divine, it's that process of moving more deeply into yourself, and the joy is the thread that leads us back. You know, we were
100%.
talking a lot about your curiosity, your natural curiosity, and I was thinking how as children we're all curious. That is
Yeah.
just our state of being, and it gets covered over in a multitude of ways as we age and as we move through our school systems and our life systems, and the curiosity is what gives us permission and courage to evolve and freedom to evolve, and the curiosity is connected to that joy. It's all of these things that we did innately as children when no one told us what to do, that if we can find space for that in our adult life, that's
Yes.
for me, that's how I connect to what you're saying.
100%. And I love that what you were talking about, that the divine is inside, because I believe that truly. You know, I think connecting in is connecting up,
Yes.
because the closest place to spirituality is yourself, because you're a spiritual being and there's
Yeah.
divine inside of you. And so if you're really looking for any discovery, it doesn't even need to be self-discovery, you need to look inward.
Yeah.
Which is why I say when I coach from a place, I don't give any answers. I'm literally coaching you to discover yourself, because I don't have your answers. Only you have your answers.
Yeah.
And discovering it from a place, who wouldn't want to discover yourself from a place of joy? And by the way, all those examples I gave are my examples.
Right.
I like coffee in the window. I like to dance. I like to write.
Yeah.
But you need to figure out what yours are. Everybody has different things that bring them joy. That's why we're unique and we're individual. So if you don't know what yours are, then maybe try all the ones we've given examples. And maybe try something that pops into your head.
Yeah.
And see,
Yeah.
oh, this is,
Trusting that wisdom is very important.
yeah.
So what's your another step? Do you have other steps? Or that was your first, that's your pocket of stuff.
That's my first and foremost, like
Yeah.
the dropping the pockets of something small, something joyful.
Yeah.
I would say another step to, which topic are we on again? This the bringing
Well,
joyfulness or the
get the
self-discovery.
courage to change, like courage
Oh,
to
the
change.
courage to change. The courage to change. My second step would be to really sit with yourself and just try to hear your own voice. And how you do that is see what's bothering you, right? If you want to change, that means something's not right. So see what's not right. Take one thing that you feel is not right. The way you think about something, the way you act around something, the way you get angry about something and you don't know why. Okay? Take that one thing and start doing self-discovery on that. Write it down. Write down reasons you think you might be reacting this way. And what happens when you start this exploration of self or ideas or thoughts, you really come to a place of the reason why. Like I always say, if someone's fearful of something, that's not their inner feeling.
Right.
Right? The inner feeling is something else. The fear is covering it up. That's your top feeling. That's your protector. We grow up with protectors. Something happens and then our body figures out a way to protect it. I don't know if you've read the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
I haven't, but it's on my reading list.
It's
And I feel like
excellent.
everyone's reading it at the moment. So it's been
By the way,
around for a
just so you
while,
know,
but
it took me a year to read.
yeah.
It's very heavy, it's very deep, and it's very truthful. So to absorb it, it took me a year to read.
Yeah.
But it's aligned with this, right? So something happens in our youth, our protectors come to save us, whether it's shame, whether it's fear, whatever it is. And then the next time something similar happens like that, our protectors stop us. And we don't, by the time we're an adult and we're angry about something or we think a certain way about something, we don't even know why.
Yeah.
And so if you start like really giving yourself to think about it and write it down, you might be able to discover why you act a certain way or why you think a certain way. And then the next step is, does this serve me now? Or was this something that served me when I was 10 or 12 or 15 or 18? And if you think, wait a minute, that was protecting me then, but it's not now, and now it's actually harming me, which is usually what's happening.
Yeah.
Then how do I re-change the way I think?
Yeah.
And an easy way to do this that you can do on your own is thoughts, create feelings, create actions. If my thought was different about this subject, how would I feel? If I felt differently about this subject, now how am I acting?
Yeah.
And if the thought is, you can't, I don't know, you can't take time for yourself because you have other people to take care of. So then your feeling is, I'm last. And then your action is, don't do anything for yourself.
Right.
But if you change your thought to, if you take care of yourself, then you'll be taking care of everybody else. Then that still aligns with your value of taking care of everybody else. But then your feeling is, I must take time for myself. Because then I'm respecting my value. Then I can properly take care of everybody else. And then your action is giving yourself time to exercise, giving yourself time to meditate, giving yourself time to breathe, whatever it is you need.
Yes. Yes.
And that starts
Beautiful.
the process. That's another easy, write it down. What's my present thought, feeling, action? What do I want my thought to be? What's the feeling? What's the action?
Yes.
And then you go. And then it's, discovery, and we can go inside, right?
Yeah.
So it's then expanding who you are in the way you really want to live.
Yes. And I think that's like a beautiful mapping out when you can almost see two divergent paths. If I continue with this thought process, if I explore a different mindset, where will that lead me?
Right.
I think another powerful thing is when you're stuck and you either stuck in a decision or you're stuck in a life phase, is just to be able to verbalize the prayer. I don't know what I need to do, but I have the willingness to change. Hashem, divine, whatever higher power name you connect with, show me the next step, lead me to the right person, lead me to the right book. Just to have that willingness, that opening in your heart of, I know this doesn't feel right anymore. I want to change. I want to grow. I want to find a deeper part of myself. I want to evolve more in the coming year. I really have this deep desire, this deep yearning to open up. Just show me the next right step. Just vocalizing that prayer every morning, every night, whenever you have a spare moment, whenever you're feeling the frustration of feeling stifled or stuck, is a powerful way to invite in all of those supports that we've been speaking about over the last hour, or to know what that joyful action next is that you need to take next.
Yes.
So just, yes. And this is a month when we're told the divine presence is closer, not only to hear our prayers, but also it's the presence is close in a way that we might also hear a deeper intuition in this time,
Yes.
because of that proximity. So prayer it can be a really powerful and essential piece in this process.
100%. Prayer is a powerful and essential piece. And what you just said, that, just saying this prayer of, Hashem, divine, give me I want to change. You've already changed.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're not changing, you can't even say that.
Yeah.
But when you acknowledge that this is something you really want and you start going into prayer, you're already taking those steps. And once you take those steps, Hashem comes and meets you.
Yeah.
All you got to do, you got to say that prayer out loud, verbalize it, and then you have a partner to walk through life with. And like you said, in Elul, like we talk about the king being in the field, right? And the concept of the king being in the field is that the king, or, which we speak of God, is with the commoners. You can ask anything. And so it is a great time to make that change, because your prayer is right here. And you're walking together right now in Elul. The king is in the field. You can ask the king, you can ask God anything, and you're walking together to the castle.
Yes.
So now's the time to make your change, because like I said, all you have to do is take that first step, and then you can go forward.
It's really powerful and beautiful and comforting that what could turn out to be the greatest shifts in our life start in the most intimate space, and the simplest of ways of just, as you said, vocalizing this prayer, and then you have a partner. And it feels so encapsulated. I don't want to say small, but it feels so close. Mm-hmm. Everyone can articulate that desire to change. Everyone can speak from their heart truthfully when they need help. And so everyone has the power to do that. I shouldn't say everyone can. Everyone has the capacity to just utter those words, which really comes back to what you said in the beginning. Everyone has the innate ability to change at every moment, to evolve throughout their lives, and should never feel stuck in one iteration of being.
Yeah. And we're constantly changing. Like there was this saying I heard, I forget where, but like the only constant is change.
Yes.
It's just, we're changing, and you're changing whether you want to or not. Like life is changing. And what I liked about you saying this little prayer to open your heart, I think there's this idea, there's this feeling that, change needs to be grand, right? You need to see me like this, and then you need to see me like that. And that means I've changed, and that's how I get there. And now I don't know how to get there because it can't be that grand. Right. And the baby steps are where it's at.
Yeah.
It's like that picture of the two ladders. Do you know that picture? There's a picture of there's a picture of two ladders, and there's one guy's at the bottom of one ladder, and he's trying to reach up to the first rung, and he can't reach it. It's too high. Yeah. And then there's another guy that's like on the top of the ladder, but there's rung and rung and rung and rung and rung, and they're this close to each other. So he's able to climb up. And the first guy has a rung here and then a rung here. And like, they're so far apart, you can't even reach it. Yeah. Like, it has to be small steps. Yes. Because if you leap, then you turn around and you're like, well, where am I? What's happening here? And what's happening? Like, right? But if you take those baby steps, then when you slip, which we do, yes, right? Even though I've changed, I do still feel stuck sometimes. And I have to remind myself, oh, wait, I know what to do. Yeah. I know how to move past. But I know that because I take the little steps. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I might need to back up 3 steps, but I know how to do that. I know how to go forward. Yes. But if I can't even reach those steps, then I'm not getting anywhere.
That's another beautiful reminder. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want people to realize that it's doable for each individual and that
Mm.
it looks different for each individual.
Yes, very important.
It
Very.
looks different. And so when we're looking, so much of our world is looking out, and you need someone to reflect you, to look inside
Yeah.
and be, I see you.
Well,
I see what's inside of you and you can do this. And if you don't have someone to do that for you, find someone, find a mentor, find a friend who can do that for you, find a coach, you know?
yeah, that's an essential piece of this journey is to have your support community,
Yeah,
because it won't always be the people who are around you by default.
no.
They won't necessarily be able to see you in the way that you need to
Right,
be reflected in order to initiate these
right.
changes. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
I right before this actually I caught something that Mark Grove said. He's also on Instagram, he has a podcast, and he was talking about change as being this pull between you aligning with your soul's integrity and aligning with your soul's calling and moving into sync with that, while at the same time pulling away from people's expectations of you and the way society has seen you, or your family has
yeah,
seen you, or your partner or your children or your peers have seen you, and how we shouldn't underestimate what that tug is. No matter, we say change is good, we know it's not easy, and as much as we're moving maybe into deeper alignment with ourselves, there is this pain in ripping
yeah,
away from preconceived notions, whether they're our own or external.
yeah. It's so true. And especially with the people closest to you,
Mm,
with a spouse or a partner, children, parents, in-laws. When you start acting differently, it's hard for them. Even if it's for your benefit, even if they care for your change and for your good, right? Like even if it's a healthy partner who
yes.
wants you to feel good and in line and divine and all of that, there's still this tugging
Yeah.
because something is going on that's different. And so if you're going to be different, then they're going to have to be different. And that's really hard. When I started I started my life coaching course, like, you get blown away by all this information. It's like,
Yes.
oh my God, it's like your glasses were dirty and then someone cleaned them for you and all of a sudden you see, right, all these things. But the people in your life aren't taking your course and they're not seeing all these things. And you come home
Mm,
and you're like, this and that, and oh my God, this and that, and you got to do this and you got to think like that, obviously not the right form.
right.
And they're like, don't coach me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do. And they're correct. So you don't, and then you start changing. And it's difficult for them because you're doing what's in line with your values. But if for so long they know you as somebody who acts differently, they expect that to be who you are. And now you're emerging as this new person that's truthful, but it takes some time for that to balance out again. Right? So if you start changing and you're feeling really good and joyful about it, but you're getting, pushback from people you care about and love, again, just be curious. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm,
This is hard for them.
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. They don't like this. Not, oh, I need to stop this.
Yeah.
I might have to be more gentle in my responses because I love them. But that
Yes.
doesn't mean I'm not going to change. And eventually it will balance out because once you align yourself with who you're supposed to be in your divine self and really with your values, then everything around you changes. And it inspires the people around you to do the same.
Yeah. I believe that. I think it inspires them, and I think naturally there is, as you said, you can't move one piece in the jar without everything
Shifting.
shifting in some way.
Absolutely.
So in our changes, we give others the permission and the courage to make their own life changes, however subtle or grand they might be.
Yeah. When I decided to move to Nashville, a really good friend of mine who was going through a lot of things, I had gone over to their house to hang out. And her husband had, like, we were sitting having coffee, and he was like, I got to talk to you. I said, okay. He's like, I just don't understand it. How are you moving to Nashville? He's like, you have such heavy roots. Those of you who know me, I grew up in LA. I have a big family in LA. I have a lot of friends in LA. And it's a place that I just thought I'd be forever. And he's like, you have such heavy roots here. And obviously, this person was going through their own stuff and they were dealing with a lot of change, and it was extremely uncomfortable for them. But then they saw me going through these changes, willingly,
Yeah.
happily. And it was such a conflict with what was happening with them that they couldn't understand it. And, I sat with him for a while and I was trying to explain that, I was open to it and I was curious. And that though it was difficult, it's hard to leave your roots.
Yeah.
I was comfortable in LA and it's hard to leave comfort. And that's why people don't change.
Yeah.
It's really scary to leave comfort.
Yes.
But life could be so good on the other side. And unless you feel that your life is really good, then you should be shifting.
Yeah.
Because I believe everyone can be in a life that they're really happy with.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Yes.
Yes, that's such beautiful guidance for the new year and for really using these last few weeks of the current year to look really truthfully inward and work out where we might want that growth.
Yes. And I just bless everyone who's watching to, I hope this helped in any way and this connected you a little bit more to the month of Elul, and to your shifting experiences and your curiosity, and just living in line with your true values and your true self.
Beautiful. No, you had so much wisdom to share with us and beautiful actionable steps. And how can people find you, Aura?
Thank you. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm Aura Schwartz, Aura.Schwartz. You can DM me if you're interested in talking with me, having a conversation. I love conversation. So it could just be that's how me and Micaela met. We found
Yes,
each other on Instagram and
in
became
this
friends.
space.
And we love having conversations. And I think that's the best way to find me. I'm on all the socials, Facebook, or you can email me at aura.beauty@gmail.com and I'll always respond.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Dream Detour podcast, which
Yes, my dream
really
detour.
tells
It's
so many
really
of the stories.
special. Yeah, so it's on anywhere you listen to podcasts. So you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music. I already have about 20 up, really, really special podcasts. I have two more. I have Micaela's, and then I have another one that I'm working on. And I hope I get to continue the podcast. I'm not sure. I want to shift it a bit again because,
Yes.
why not change it if I can. But yes, please go find it.
Yeah. So yes, and this is, we're just passing the full moon of Elul. So may everyone find the full illumination of their truth inside and see whatever
Amen.
they need to see, and to feel the guidance and know where to move next.
Amen. Micaela,
And
thank you
may
so much for having
bless
me.
through this time. Oh, such a pleasure.
It's
Thank you
so
for sharing
beautiful.
with us all of these gifts and that beautiful Parsha reflection. And we'll speak again in this space.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, everyone. And I do just want to acknowledge, because I didn't earlier, that it's September 11, and
Yes.
I will dedicate this conversation to all the people who perished that day, and in the hope that our humanity knows no more suffering in this vein, that we tap into the deepest kindness within, and that we embrace our differences with love and generosity, and that we should know no more baseless hatred like that anymore.
Amen. Thank you for that. Beautiful.
All right, everyone, be blessed, be well, have a beautiful morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. See you soon. Bye.